Tonight, historic arraignment. Former President Donald Trump bound from Florida to his former home state of New York ahead of a Manhattan courthouse arraignment over alleged hush money payments to an adult film star. Plus, danger in development.
The danger of AI is much greater than the danger of nuclear warheads by a lot.
The risk posed by artificial intelligence. And not your average presidential candidate.
If you're going to be the odd man out, if you're going to stand out, you might as well be outstanding.
The Republican outsider in the race for the White House. All this and more tonight on Faith Nation. Countdown to history in the making. Welcome to Faith Nation from our studio in Washington, D.C. I am John Jessup. Tonight, former President Donald Trump is back in New York City on the eve of his arrest and pending court appearance. On Tuesday, Mr. Trump becomes the first public official in the office of president to face a criminal indictment after a grand jury said there was sufficient evidence to bring criminal charges. CBN White House correspondent Abigail Robertson has our top story. Abigail.
Well, John, while we still don't know the specific charges being brought against former President Trump, the sealed indictment allegedly contains more than 24 counts, including felonies.
He's gearing up for a battle.
Trump supporters lined the road leading up to his residence at Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida, as he drove to the airport en route to New York City, where he plans to surrender to authorities on Tuesday.
This is something that obviously we believe is a political persecution, and he's someone who's going to be ready for this fight.
This is the first time in history a former president has ever faced criminal charges. While there are multiple investigations into Trump right now, this case involves hush money paid to adult film star Stormy Daniels before the 2016 election, who claimed she had an affair with Trump while his wife was pregnant with his youngest son. Trump denies the affair and any wrongdoing. His attorney told ABC News he doesn't know what to expect this week.
This is unprecedented. I don't know. I've done a million arraignments in that courthouse with celebrities and whatnot, but this is a whole different thing. We have Secret Service involved. What I hope is that we get in and out of there as quickly as possible.
Police are setting up barricades in preparations for protests near the downtown Manhattan courthouse, where Trump will be arraigned, fingerprinted, and photographed Tuesday. This will be Trump's first court appearance facing a judge for this case, and his lawyers say he will plead not guilty. The indictment seems to be unifying the Republican Party.
This is dangerous.
With even potential 2024 rivals like Florida Governor Ron DeSantis coming to his defense.
They're trying to do all these legal gymnastics to try to act like it's a felony.
Former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson, however, believes Trump should drop out of the 2024 race and announce plans to run against him.
The office is more important than any individual person. And so for the sake of the office of the presidency, I do think that's too much of a sideshow and distraction.
Legal experts warn this court battle could be slow and play out well beyond the 2024 presidential election. Trump will fly back to Mar-a-Lago after the arraignment scheduled for 2:15 p.m. Tuesday afternoon, and he plans to deliver a prime-time address addressing the charges. John?
All right, CBN White House correspondent Abigail Robertson. Thank you so much, Abigail. Well, here with us now is Nathan Gonzalez, editor and publisher of Inside Elections and a Faith Nation contributor. Nathan, always great to see you. Let's start with how much of this is spectacle and how much is substance. Mind you, we have yet to know the charges of the sealed indictment.
You're exactly right, John. We don't know. We don't know how substantive these charges are. I mean, this case is thought to be the lesser in severity compared to the other investigations that are still ongoing, in which the former president could face indictments as well. But until we see them, we don't know. And I talked to one Republican consultant who's worked on a lot of campaigns, and he was actually cautioning that maybe some Republicans got out ahead of themselves in defending the former president when they don't know exactly what they're defending him from. And so things are going to get at least a little bit more clear tomorrow with the arraignment. But we're in a little bit of a holding pattern here.
In that holding pattern, yet Americans are weighing in. A CNN poll shows the majority of Americans, 60% approve of the Manhattan District Attorney's indictment, 40% disapprove. Yet, Nathan, as you well know, both sides of the argument resoundingly agree on one thing. What is that, Nathan?
It's politics. It's politics. And when I saw this poll, I thought that, you know what, you could ask this question. I bet a majority of Americans would say that there's politics in sports and business and churches, and that there's politics in everything. So that didn't really stick out to me very much. And just because it's a political investigation, or that the investigator, the DA in this case, has a political motives, doesn't mean that President Trump is innocent. He can still be guilty even if it's a political investigation. And we are on the 40%, you know, with other voters. I just am not sure. They don't know. How can people know whether these charges are appropriate when they don't even know what the charges are, John? We're just sort of veering back into our partisan camps when it comes to these questions.
Not only do they believe it's politically motivated, our responses seem to be political. Nathan, as you all know, President Biden is in Minnesota promoting federal investments in local communities. This is part of a White House campaign for the next several weeks. Can you discuss how these trips also are timed to coincide with Trump's indictment? Does that kind of step on the message?
Yeah, I mean, certainly the attention right now is on Trump. We haven't even started a trial yet, and there are just cameras following the Trump's motorcade down the highway as he goes to the airport. I mean, imagine what this is going to be like when there's actually a trial. And at some point, I think Biden, there should be a concern that he's not able to, you know, maybe not able to push out a message, positive things that he's doing. But right now, this is a distraction. I would say for Republicans, this is a distraction from the fact that President Biden's job rating is as bad as it's been in 2 months. And voters aren't focused on Biden right now. They're focused on how much trouble is Trump in. And to me, that's probably a good thing for Democrats right now.
Nathan, unfortunately, we're out of time, so we'll have to leave it there until next time. Nathan Gonzalez, editor and publisher of Inside Elections. Thanks so much.
We'll see you soon.
Well, Wisconsin's Supreme Court race is breaking campaign spending records ahead of tomorrow's election. Both sides of the aisle have been pouring in big money, reportedly doubling and by one estimate tripling the national record for spending in a state Supreme Court race. Many calling the election between liberal-leaning Milwaukee County Judge Janet Protasewicz and former state Supreme Court Justice Dan Kelly the most important statewide race of the year. Conservative judges currently hold a one-seat majority that Democrats want to claim. The high-stakes contest could change the court's ideological makeup for the first time in 15 years, the issues ranging from everything like abortion rights to gerrymandering. Well, severe weather is to blame for dozens of deaths across the country after a series of weekend storms that affected millions and caused catastrophic damage. CBN's Matt Galka joins us with how people are recovering even as more severe storms are expected this week. Is that right, Matt?
Yeah, John, and these pictures are just devastating to look at. As these deadly storms, they took no mercy as they raked across parts of the heartland and south in the second major severe weather outbreak in as many weeks. Millions are still cleaning up across the country.
Lights started flickering and then eventually went off. I was traumatized.
By the time I got in there and shut that door, the front window blew out and I just dropped to the floor and crawled under my bed. And then that's when the tornado hit.
More than 30 people died after dozens of tornadoes touched down in the Midwest and southern states. The tornado outbreak then stretched into the Northeast, with one person killed when a home collapsed in Delaware. The Apollo Theater in Belvedere, Illinois collapsed during a concert. The storm there killed Frederick Livingston Jr. and injured more than 40 people.
It happened so fast, man.
The First United Methodist Church in Wynne, Arkansas held their Palm Sunday service in the parking lot after a tornado tore through their building.
This is an opportunity to really be the people that we've known that we are for so long and to live into the faith that we proclaim in Jesus. And it's just a building. We'll build another one and we'll continue on.
CBN's Operation Blessing is also on the ground there. Entire neighborhoods leveled, including schools. Pastor Marvin Norman finds himself struggling as he sees his neighbors left with nothing and begging for a warm meal.
I was driving my wife around yesterday because she hadn't saw it. And it was so much devastation, Brother Justin. She told me, she said, turn around and take me home. She said, I can't stand it. She said, take me home. Because seeing people lose everything, you know, you can see it on TV and it seems like it doesn't, you're looking at it on TV. But the pictures on TV don't do it any justice.
And unfortunately, more severe weather is forecasted for parts of the Midwest this week, including some areas that just went through those devastating tornadoes. Operation Blessing will continue to provide disaster relief, and if you want to help, you can go to CBN.com, call 1-800-700-7000, or text OBDR to 7177. John?
All right, thank you, Matt. Well, scarier than science fiction, what some see as the lurking danger of artificial intelligence when Faith Nation returns. Welcome back. Tech leader Elon Musk is widely known as an innovator, which makes his call to put the brakes on artificial intelligence significant. He believes AI is more dangerous than nuclear weapons, and as Dale Hurd reports, now he and hundreds of industry leaders want a temporary halt to study the risks of this fast-growing technology.
Is humanity in danger from new artificial intelligence technology? Some tech experts fear it could be. An open letter signed by the leading voices in tech is calling for a 6-month pause in development, warning that language-based models like ChatGPT, which generate human-like responses, could one day attempt to replace humans and even try to rule the world. Tech leader Elon Musk warned about artificial intelligence in this 2018 interview.
The danger of AI is much greater than the danger of nuclear warheads, by a lot. And nobody would suggest that we allow anyone to just build nuclear warheads if they want.
The release of OpenAI's chatbot has sparked a multi-billion-dollar race between Microsoft and Google to offer competitors.
I'm afraid that the whole world, and no exaggeration, 18 months from now, the world as we know it could be unrecognizable.
Christian author and faith leader Johnny Moore is asking religious leaders to support the pause and ask the tough questions about ethics and morality.
If that means if we press pause on the innovation for 6 months or 9 months or 3 months or 3 weeks for that matter at this pace of change, we can do the work needed.
AI expert Eliezer Yudkowsky warns the open letter doesn't go far enough, saying literally everyone on Earth will die if AI is allowed to advance unchecked.
The reality is, whether we're ready or not is no longer a relevant question. The question is, the technology is here. What do we do moving forward?
Concerns about the technology range from mass unemployment as AI replaces workers, to a widespread loss of privacy, to weapons systems that independently decide who they should kill. Interpol has issued a new report warning the technology could be misused for fraud, cybercrime, disinformation, and social engineering.
What scares me the most is that people start to trust it so much that we don't even investigate it. We just trust that this machine is so intelligent, it must be putting out truth, when in reality, it's actually just a really good con artist behind a machine.
Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Thank you, Dale. In 2016, a political outsider stunned the world by winning the White House. Up next, another rising Republican hoping to follow the exact same playbook. The GOP field in the race for the White House just got a little more crowded. Former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson told ABC News he'll soon announce a bid for the Oval Office. The Republican, who recently completed 2 terms as governor, says former President Donald Trump should withdraw because his indictment has become, quote, a sideshow. Well, a Hindu who says the United States must restore its Judeo-Christian values, that's the calling card of a multi-million-dollar businessman hoping to win the White House. CBN's chief political analyst David Brody sat down with Vivek Ramaswamy to learn more about his personal story and his vision for America.
In 2016, businessman Donald Trump entered politics as an outsider and shocked the world by winning the presidency. Now, Vivek Ramaswamy hopes to follow a similar script and achieve the same result. He shares the business success story as an entrepreneur worth millions. Ramaswamy was born in America to immigrant parents from India.
They taught me something pretty interesting, which is that if you're going to be the odd man out, if you're going to stand out, you might as well be outstanding.
And he followed that advice, which took him from high school valedictorian to Harvard to Yale Law School, and ultimately into major success in the biotech and pharmaceutical industries. As for his faith, Ramaswamy is Hindu, although he attended a Jesuit high school.
Tell us more about your upbringing, your faith, how that shapes your worldview.
There is a moral foundation for equality, and America's vision of equality starts with that moral foundation. And I think we should be unapologetic about reviving, yes, those Judeo-Christian values that I happen to share through my Hindu faith as well, but revive those as the cornerstone of American identity too. Family, faith, patriotism, these have become four-letter words. You know, when Moses went to the mountaintop, by the time he came down, they'd already built the golden calf. You know, the Israelites are wandering in the desert. What was it internally inside each of them that wanted to go back and be ruled by Pharaoh? I think that is the moment we live in today in America, where we too are lost. And we have an entire populace that is so hungry to bend the knee, so hungry to worship these false idols of climatism or COVIDism or wokeism or gender ideology.
And those issues are his bread and butter. Because when Vivek Ramaswamy hits the campaign trail,
guys. Thank you very much.
He focuses on one constant theme.
I think we're in the middle of a national identity crisis in this country.
He blames the progressive left, saying it's created a morally bankrupt vacuum.
They prey on that vacuum, telling you that your identity is based on your race and your sexuality, and then what you can achieve in life is based on your genetics. I reject that vision.
Based on that, one of his policies would include rescinding affirmative action programs.
I believe in trickle-down culture. Once you get rid of government-spawned affirmative action, government-spawned racism, it's really a form of de facto racism, that then affects all parts of our culture all the way down.
Ramaswamy also believes it's time to end what he calls the new toxic climate religion.
The climate religion has nothing to do with the climate and everything to do with the equity agenda, the global equity agenda of shackling the United States while letting the rest of the world catch up so we may apologize for our sins.
And dismantling the federal administrative state, which he says really runs the country, is a part of his mission as well.
Apply 8-year sunset clauses to anybody who works in the federal bureaucracy to say that if I, as the president, can't work for the government for more than 8 years, neither should most bureaucrats.
His claim to fame centers on railing against liberal progressive ideology, summed up in his best-selling book, Woke Inc., Inside Corporate America's Social Justice Scam. More specifically, Ramaswamy believes it's time to go after big business that embraces the government move toward pushing the environmental, social, and governance movement, or ESG.
Go after those cases where the government is itself using private companies to do through the back door what government could not get done through the front door under the Constitution. That's what we see in the case of so-called big tech censorship. I don't even call it that anymore. I call it what it is, government tech censorship.
It's not yet clear how much his message might resonate. GOP strategist Eric Erickson says, quote, Ramaswamy has the potential to build a coalition that transcends traditional Republican coalition building, with his focus on ESG and, in particular, a battle against the cloistered mind of the left. Others say he could actually help Donald Trump win the nomination, especially if Florida Governor Ron DeSantis gets in the race. The two men share similar visions, with both going after woke culture and corporations.
I don't know what his joining the race does other than peel away a few votes from DeSantis.
As for Trump's candidacy, Ramaswamy sees the need to move on for the sake of national unity.
How has he not actually been able to deliver on unifying the country? What do you mean by that exactly?
A lot of people think he doesn't care about national unity. I know him. I believe he cares deeply about national unity, actually. But the question is, can he deliver it? And if he was going to deliver it, I think we wouldn't be where we are today. We're fractiously divided. We're deeply divided. There's now calls even from one wing of the Republican Party, from Marjorie Taylor Greene, for a national divorce. I reject that vision.
Ramaswamy wants to unite the country and believes that a 37-year-old new generation candidate like himself can be the one to do it. He maintains he brings a full understanding of the issues and is not just a talking points candidate. But can he really win? He says it's a two-step process.
2023, let it be the year of the what and the why. Forget about the question of the who. We Republicans sometimes obsess too much about who. Ask ourselves, what do we stand for? Why do we stand for it? Let's define that this year. Then next year, as people start to go to the polls, the question is, who's the best standard bearer for that vision?
That will be up to GOP primary voters, who will deliver their answer in due time. David Brody, CBN News, Washington.
Thanks, David. Coming up, remembering Martin Luther King Jr.'s heavenward gaze and final speech. Welcome back. The world's more than 2 billion Christians are observing Holy Week. Pope Francis kicked off Palm Sunday with a special Mass in St. Peter's Square with some 60,000 people in attendance. The pontiff recently was released from the hospital for treatment of bronchitis. In Israel, Christian pilgrims walked through the city to commemorate Jesus' arrival in Jerusalem in the days leading up to his crucifixion. Holy Week culminates on Easter Sunday, celebrating Christ's resurrection from the dead. Well, finally tonight, remembering the timely words of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on the anniversary of his final address, April 3rd, 1968. On that day, before his assassination in Memphis, King called for unity and foreshadowed the possibility of his death. In the speech, he mentioned events he would have liked to witness, like Martin Luther's nailing of the 95 Theses and Abraham Lincoln signing the Emancipation Proclamation. He also said he would ask God to live a few years into the second half of the 20th century to see God's continued work of healing on a sick nation. And it's all captured in a speech remembered for King's famous line, "I've been to the mountaintop."
Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
To honor the 55th anniversary of King's death, the Atlanta community memorialized King's heavenward gaze. The 8-foot monument was unveiled Saturday in Atlanta's Peace Park, the city's first integrated public park. Well, that will do it for tonight's Faith Nation. Thank you so much for watching. We hope to see you again right back here tomorrow.